It's a busy Friday morning in the bustling African city of Nairobi. Then, the air is shattered by a massive explosion. A huge bomb has gone off outside the American embassy, totally demolishing a 7-story building and causing damage on a stunning scale. Hundreds of people are buried and thousands injured in the worst terrorist atrocity ever to hit the African continent. Now, using advanced computer simulations, we reveal exactly what happened and who was behind this appalling attack. Disasters don't just happen, they're a chain of critical events. Unravel the clues and count down to those final seconds from disaster. Africa. Kenya. Nairobi, the vibrant heart of Central East Africa. This is one of the largest cities in the region. Here, East meets West, as around 2 million people from all over Africa rub shoulders with the rest of the world. In 1998, Prudence Bushnell is the US ambassador to Kenya. She's well aware of the problems in the area.
Muslims, Christians, Hindus, Jews, a huge number of different kinds of people.
Ambassador Bushnell works here in the US Embassy in central Nairobi. Like all American embassies, it's built to be tough. Its walls are made of reinforced concrete. It stands 5 stories tall with an underground car park. And it's capable of withstanding an earthquake. It's the largest US embassy in the region. Right next door is a 7-story office block with no connection to the embassy. It's called the Ufundi Building, and almost 400 Kenyans work here every day. And towering over everything stands the Cooperative Bank, 21 stories high, and a distinctive local landmark. August 7th, 1998. It's 7:15 in the morning, and George Mimber says goodbye to his wife, Nancy. He runs the computers at the US Embassy, and today he's flying to an IT conference in another part of Africa.
I am looking forward to this conference. It's a good chance to meet your systems counterparts, to share ideas, share problems, get to meet the new faces.
He and his wife, Nancy, hope to start a family soon, and he's looking forward to her smile when he brings her back a present.
She knows I have to at least bring her something. So she doesn't ask me to, but it's, I just go ahead. I know that it's my obligation when I come back at least to come back with something.
But before he goes, he must stop off at the embassy to complete some last-minute emails. On the outskirts of Nairobi, 2 men board a truck, leaving an ordinary house in the suburbs. Their destination is the American Embassy. By 9:30 a.m., the streets around the embassy are filling up. At the back of the embassy, security guard Joash Okindo is at his post guarding the rear gate. He's feeling a little under the weather.
I was tired. Something came on mind.
I was feeling tired, and a thought came to my mind. Don't go to work. Then, as I mulled over it, why shouldn't I go? If I don't go, I will not eat.
I will not eat.
Joash holds the key to the rear gate of the embassy. In front of this is a drop barrier to prevent cars coming right up to the entrance. He's surprised to see Ambassador Prudence Bushnell coming out of the embassy so early.
Good morning, Josh.
She's going to a meeting in the Cooperative Tower opposite. Joash locks the gate behind them. The truck noses its way through the traffic. It joins the network of carriageways ringing central Nairobi and reaches a large roundabout that turns onto the road containing the embassy. It edges into the left-hand lane, ready to make the turn. Five to 10, and inside the Ufundi building next to the embassy, scrap metal merchant Sammy Nyana is heading towards his office on the first floor. This is just one of several jobs he has to do to support his wife and 3 children. He doesn't notice Rose, the tea lady, as she goes by. He's more worried about the important meeting he's got scheduled today.
I went to get some photocopies done and run some other office errands because we had a business meeting at 10 o'clock.
At the top of the cooperative tower, Prudence Bushnell sits down to observe a meeting between the Kenyan Trade Minister and 2 of her colleagues from the US Department of Commerce. All part of the job for an American ambassador. 10 past 10. The truck turns left and drives the 750 meters towards the embassy on the next roundabout. Inside, the computer manager George Mimba heads up to his office.
Hi, Lucy.
He finally sits down to write one last email. As he does so, the truck reaches the embassy. It swerves off the road and drives hard down the slip road, narrowly missing a car coming the other way as it heads towards the rear gate. Joash is at the gate with the key in his pocket. When he sees the truck speeding towards him, he knows there's something wrong.
Open the gate.
A man leaps from the passenger seat of the truck and shouts at the guards to open the gate.
The gate is locked.
Joash tries to stall him. He says he doesn't have the key to the gate, even though it's in his pocket, and he must call someone to get it. Joash says he'll ask for the keys. He uses the opportunity to call for help on the embassy radio.
Hello, base. Open the gate. Call for keys. Hello, base. Control.
But he doesn't get the answer he expects from the other end of the line.
Hello.
The man he calls thinks he's joking and tells him to get off the network. Joash and his colleague are on their own. The passenger from the truck goes back to the driver and starts talking to him. What they don't realize is that Joash can hear what they're saying.
They don't have keys.
This fellow spoke with the driver and told him, this fella has no keys. Talk to him calmly. If he refuses, use your pistol.
Now Joash knows the embassy is under attack. 10:39 a.m. and a dangerous situation is unfolding at the back of the American embassy in Nairobi. Security guard Joash Okindo realizes that the men he's confronting plan to kill him.
Run!
The driver pulls a gun. His accomplice hurls a grenade. George thinks he's heard an earth tremor. As the grenades explode, Sammy rushes to the window to see what's going on. Up in the cooperative tower, Prudence Bushnell's meeting is interrupted by the noise. George is torn between finishing his email and joining the others at the rear windows of the embassy. George, Sammy, Prudence. Just 3 of the hundreds of people alerted by the noise. The driver steers the truck straight at the fence. As rescuers arrive, they're confronted by a scene of utter horror. The force of the huge blast has brought the Ufundi building crashing to the ground. Hundreds of Kenyan civilians who have nothing to do with the embassy at all have been killed or seriously injured. Next door, at the top of the cooperative tower, Prudence Bushnell comes round. She helps an injured colleague out of the room and heads down the building. As she staggers down endless flights of stairs, Prudence can see bloody and injured people everywhere.
I think to myself, I just need to get out of this building and back to my embassy, and I will be all right.
But as she steps outside, she realizes that things will not be all right after all.
What I'm seeing are shards of glass, twisted steel, and then the burned corpse of what was once a human being. That causes me to look up, and I see the back of my embassy, which is missing.
Right next door, people are frantically digging through tons of rubble in a desperate attempt to save the victims buried in the collapse. Beneath the rubble, scrap metal merchant Sami Nyana strikes a match. He finds that he's trapped in an air pocket just over 1 meter square. He realizes that the building has collapsed and he's lying under hundreds of tons of rubble. His legs are broken, and the only thing that stopped him being crushed to death is the stairwell.
Thoughts start racing in my mind. If I survive this situation, how am I going to live with a broken leg? How will my children be?
In the front section of the embassy, George Mimba comes round. He's concussed and completely confused.
You don't know where you are. You don't know what's happened. You're just there.
In the smoke and the dust, he has no idea which direction to go. He just knows he has to get out. Finally, he reaches the edge of the building and looks down on hell. From his vantage on the first floor, he can see the chaos all around.
Either the world has come to an end, or Nairobi as a town has been bombed.
Concussed, confused, and convinced that the embassy is about to collapse, George decides there's only one thing he can do. He closes his eyes and throws himself out of the building. As dazed survivors stumble around the wreckage of the bombed buildings in Nairobi, it becomes clear that this is not an isolated event.
Good morning, everyone. As we are reporting, massive explosions at 2 U.S. embassies in East African countries this morning. The United States Embassy in Nairobi, Kenya, has been heavily damaged. In Tanzania, witnesses say that 2/3 of the U.S. embassies in Dar es Salaam was destroyed.
It's now clear that this is a coordinated attack against American soil. The Americans go into full lockdown siege mode. No one is allowed into either embassy, except to help out the most badly injured. On the wrecked rubble of the Ufundi building, hundreds of Kenyan commuters have rushed to help in the rescue. Beneath the rubble, Sami Nyana can hear them frantically working above, but he's lost all track of time.
1 hour seemed like 5 hours. If 15 minutes passed without you hearing the rescues, it felt like a whole day.
Suddenly, he hears shouting.
Hello? Hello?
It's another survivor trapped in the rubble nearby. Her name is Rose. She's the tea lady in the Ufundi building. When the building collapsed, she was making tea and boiling hot water has splashed all over her, burning her face.
I started thinking, can anyone survive this?
George has survived his fall without serious injury, but he's still in a profound state of shock. He's living in a nightmare.
I thought I'm in a different world. I thought I died. I don't believe what I'm hearing, because does it mean that I survived?
As he takes in the devastation around him, he realizes what he must do. He must go back into the building and help his injured colleagues.
These are my people. I have left everybody I know in the building. I have to go in here.
He makes his way back up to his wrecked office.
Hello? Is anybody here?
Bodies
Hello?
lie everywhere.
Hello?
Surely no one could have survived this.
Is nobody here?
Disheartened, George turns away. But then...
Hello? Yeah, I'm coming.
He hears a voice. It's a woman calling his name. As he fumbles through the darkness, he starts feeling for survivors. But all he can sense is the unyielding stillness of the dead. At last, one of them moves. Almost overcome by the fumes, George helps his stricken colleague out of the room. It's only later that he realizes that he's rescued a man and not the woman who cried out to him. And he cannot go back in because the stairs have collapsed. George's heroic action was captured on film. To this day, he doesn't know the name of the woman who called out to him. The moment still haunts him, especially on the anniversary of the bombing.
That moment is one moment I normally dread. When anytime the August 7th comes in, the voice comes very clearly now. George. And she called out my name. George. Why did I have to let her die? That is one thing I will never, ever forgive myself.
August 8th, 10:39 a.m. 24 hours after the disaster, and hundreds of rescuers are still digging through tons of rubble in the hunt for survivors. They've located Sammy calling for help in the basement, and a rescue unit is tunneling towards him. But they need to get there fast. Sammy and Rose have been stuck underground for more than a day. And Rose is starting to fade.
People are coming.
Sammy does everything he can to keep her spirits up as the rescuers dig towards them. But the effort is exhausting. After 36 hours of frantic digging, the rescuers finally break through to the hole where Sammy is trapped.
Get close. Close. Get close. Everybody outside. Get close.
It's much more difficult to rescue Rose. She's trapped between the underground safe of the bank and the lift. This is what has protected her from the falling rubble. But now, it makes it almost impossible to get her out. Sammy calls out to her as he's lifted to safety.
We spoke, and I told her everything is all right. I am going, and before an hour is over, even you will be out of this place.
He's stretchered out of the hole and rushed off to hospital. But as Sammy is carried away, Rose is still trapped in the wreckage. Her husband, Lawrence, has been told she's still alive. He maintains a lonely vigil next to the disaster zone.
She is still alive and they are trying to retrieve her. So I'm still on the site waiting to see her retrieval.
It takes another 3 days before the rescuers can finally get through to Rose. When they do, they find that she has died of her injuries. Her tragic story catches the mood of the moment, and the whole nation mourns for Rose. The Nairobi embassy bombing is the most devastating terrorist atrocity ever to hit Africa. But who did it? Why did so many people die? And will the bombers strike again? Now, by rewinding the events of that fateful day and by going deep into the investigation, we can reveal what really happened. Special Agent Don Saglaban is the chief examiner of the forensic team that's sent to assist the FBI agents in the field. He's worked on major terrorist incidents, including Oklahoma City and the World Trade Center bombing of 1993.
That morning, when I woke up, I turned on the news and saw the coverage from both Nairobi and Dar es Salaam and knew that somebody was going to Africa that day.
It takes 2 days for Don and his team to reach Nairobi from their base in Washington, D.C., due to technical problems with their plane. Yet when they arrive at the scene, it's still buzzing with activity.
There were rescue workers everywhere, still pulling people from the rubble. I knew that my job was to stay out of their way.
Don and his team will have to wait until the site is cleared before they can begin gathering evidence. It's frustrating, but from previous experience, Don knows that this time can be used to get an overall view of the situation.
It's a bit like a mosaic tile. The closer you look at it, it's just a bunch of colored tiles. But as you step back, you can start to see the picture form.
Looking at the damage from the air, it's clear that a truly massive bomb would be needed to cause devastation on this scale. To Don's eyes, this is a clue in itself.
The only realistic way you can get that quantity of explosives to a bomb site is with a large vehicle like a truck.
Such a bomb leaves several vital clues at the scene of the crime. Clues that could lead directly to the killers. First off, his team need to take swabs of the site as soon as possible in order to help investigators isolate what kind of explosive was used.
If it's, say, TNT, that could lead the investigators in one direction versus a homemade fertilizer-type bomb, which might be a completely different set of leads to follow.
Looking at the scene, Don can see the type of damage that is caused by a high-velocity explosive like TNT. He shares his hunch with his FBI colleagues, but it'll take a lot of painstaking work to confirm these first impressions. It's also crucial to determine how the bomb was set off, since a suicide bombing could offer clues of a grisly but vital nature.
At this point, I don't know if it's a suicide bombing, but if it is, I feel that there's at least some chance that we might find some remains of the bomber.
The bomber's DNA evidence might link him to some known terrorist cell.
The bits and pieces left of the bomber can be analyzed and related back to other information about the bomber, his family.
But this too will take time. All the investigators can do at the moment is start piecing together a picture of what went on. It's a truly daunting task. One of the first things the investigators do is start talking to witnesses. Quickly they learn that gunshots and small blasts were heard before the main explosion. Then, one more crucial fact emerges, and it confirms the FBI's worst fears. At least one terrorist was seen running away from the truck before it exploded. A bomber is still at large, and the race is on to find him before he strikes again. The FBI are hunting for clues that they hope will lead them to a terrorist bomber at large in Nairobi. Don Sack-Laban is the chief forensic examiner of the FBI team. He knows he needs to provide answers fast. It's essential that Don finds out what type of truck was used in the bombing and where it came from, because this is a crucial forensic lead to the men who planned the bombing. But piecing that truck together is not going to be easy. Don's team will have to sift through more than 600 car parts scattered throughout the wreckage. They're looking for a needle in a haystack.
Actually, they're more like looking for a needle in a stack of needles, because everything there is rubble. Everything is twisted metal.
And that's not the only thing they have to find. Don is under tremendous pressure to locate the gun used by the bombers at the scene.
Well, my initial reaction is, how am I going to find evidence of a shooting at a big bomb scene? It's just silly.
Don decides he needs to get the evidence off the site to a place where he and his team can start sifting through it. He directs the bulldozers to scoop up the wreckage and transport it to a railway yard over the road. The only problem is they now have to cope with busy Kenyan commuters trampling all over the evidence on their way to work.
I think that the team was somewhat intimidated by the size of the job and just how difficult the logistics were going to be to get that job done.
But Don's team are professionals, and they quickly get down to the crucial job of identifying the truck. It seems an impossible task. But over the years, Don and his colleagues have blown up a few trucks of their own.
Our unit has conducted a number of tests to see what the effect of an explosion, a large explosion, is on a vehicle. These are some of the pieces I brought back from those tests. They really help us to understand how the damage to that vehicle occurs versus damage to other things that are around it.
Don knows that the metal components of a car react differently depending on their distance from the bomb.
This piece was actually, I think, 50 or so feet away from the explosion. So you can see the directionality of it, how the blast wave tore it in one direction, as opposed to this piece, which is actually wrapped around from the way the explosion just curled around it.
This allows Don and his team to pinpoint which of the thousands of pieces of debris come from the bomb truck rather than from vehicles nearby. When they start looking, they quickly find pieces that have clearly come from the bomb truck. At the same time, at least 3 eyewitnesses can identify the truck they saw at the gate. It's what's called a canter truck.
So I asked the logical question, what's a canter truck? And it turns out it's a Mitsubishi product.
The Mitsubishi Canter is a common truck in Kenya. But the pieces of the truck that Don's team is finding don't come from a canter. Don is completely baffled.
Am I looking at the wrong pieces? But from a forensic standpoint, clearly they are the bits and pieces that are damaged by the explosion. They are the bomb truck.
The evidence Don is finding runs contrary to everything he's being told. Could the FBI's techniques be flawed? But there is some good news amongst the gloom. Against all the odds, Don's team find part of a pistol in the debris. Since the guards were unarmed, this must be part of the gun used by the bomber. The part is called a gun slide. If it can be traced back to its owners, it'll provide a vital lead to the terrorists. This could be the breakthrough they're looking for. All they need is an identification number.
Unfortunately, this slide doesn't have any identifying numbers on it.
It's a crushing blow. Without any ID numbers, Don can't trace the pistol back to its owners. And if he can't trace it back to its owners, the gun is of no use to them. Nothing seems to be going Don's way. As if the setbacks with the truck and the gun weren't bad enough, it's now painfully clear to him that it won't be possible to collect any DNA evidence from the bomber.
Unfortunately, the sheer volume of casualties in Nairobi really prevented us from being able to isolate the pieces that might have come from the suicide bomber.
The forensic investigation is throwing up more questions than it's answering. They have a bomber on the run, a gun that can't help them, and a mystery truck they simply can't pin down. The truck problem is particularly galling. Don cannot understand how everyone can say it was a Mitsubishi Canter when there are no pieces of Canter amongst the wreckage. In desperation, he calls on a local car dealer to see if he can help him identify the pieces. The dealer confirms his worst fears. The bits of the bomb truck don't come from a Mitsubishi at all. In that case, Don wonders, why does everyone say it was a Mitsubishi Canter? A chance remark unlocks the mystery. It turns out that in Nairobi, every truck of this sort is called a Canter.
It's a bit of a shorthand, so it really pays to bring in some local knowledge.
But still, the evidence they have is contradictory, and the eyewitness reports are not helping.
Some people said it was a left-hand drive vehicle. Other people said it's a right-hand drive vehicle. So as a forensic scientist, I've got to try to find something that really proves that one way or the other.
This crucial piece of information will help Don narrow down the search. He turns to one of the recovered pieces, a pitman arm.
Now, a pitman arm is in the front of a vehicle, and if it's a right-hand drive vehicle, it's mounted in one orientation. If it's a left-hand drive vehicle, it's mounted in the opposite orientation.
The pitman arm from this scene had damage all along one side, which indicated it was oriented towards the right. This proved that it was a right-hand drive vehicle.
So at least I was able to make a contribution and say, stop looking for left-hand drive vehicles.
Despite Don's good work, the team is still at a loss. If they cannot identify what type of vehicle this is, their most promising forensic avenue will be a dead end. Then a local office worker comes in with a piece of truck which literally fell out of the sky. It landed on his desk during the explosion. By an extraordinary stroke of luck, it has the vehicle's ID number on it. It's only partial, but it's enough to identify the truck not as a Mitsubishi Canter, but as something very similar, a Toyota Dyna. The breakthrough points investigators towards the port of Mombasa, 500 kilometers south of Nairobi, into which trucks like this are imported. But to track down this particular truck, the investigators will have to go through all the import documents for Toyota trucks in the past few months. There are boxes of paperwork to sift through. Eventually, their perseverance pays off. They trace the truck to a poultry farmer in Mombasa who sold it to a man called Ahmed Swedan. But the name Ahmed Swedan doesn't mean anything to the FBI. Without additional information, the truck has taken them as far as it can go. The investigators will need to look elsewhere for leads. Thankfully, they have on their side the righteous anger of the Kenyan people.
This is an attack on Kenya, and most of the victims are Kenyan. And every law enforcement officer in Kenya wants to get to the bottom of this. It is unacceptable.
Now the Kenyan police force come into their own.
Manake sisi ndio wenyeji. We are the natives, so we understand our people, and we understand their behavior better.
Peter Mbuvi is the deputy director of CID in Nairobi. He knows that his people have to find this bomber quickly. He also knows that it's an almost impossible task. How on earth can he track down an anonymous fugitive in this melting pot of around 2 million people? Luckily, he has the Kenyan public on his side.
Mainly, I think the Kenyans were very disappointed because here are just innocent Kenyans who have lost their lives for no apparent reason at all. So we started getting very good information from members of the public.
One of these comes from the most unlikely of places, the local hospital called the MP Shah. There, a cleaner mopping out the hospital toilets makes an unusual discovery. Hidden in the toilet, he finds 3 bullets that have been carefully filed down to fit a .380 caliber pistol. Suddenly, the piece of gun slide that Dom's team have found at the scene starts to mean something. The gun slide belongs to a Beretta automatic, .380 caliber.
Our firearms experts can't say that these bullets were in that gun, but I still think it's a pretty compelling piece of evidence to say that this man had these bullets with him and that we did find a gun that they could have fit into.
It's a tenuous lead, but it means that investigators are alert to any suspect who may have visited the MP Shah on the day of the bombing. A few days later, Kenyan police get a tip-off that leads them to a local hotel. When they arrest the man in his room, they find a hospital admissions card with the pseudonym Khalid Saleh, showing that he was treated at the hospital where the bullets were found.
We were convinced that we have got the right person. Yeah.
No one knows who this man is, but an eyewitness positively identifies him as the terrorist who fled the scene of the bombing. Under interrogation, he confesses to his part in the bomb plot. He's one of a pair of suicide bombers trained in Pakistan for the attack on the Nairobi embassy. One of his many names is Alawali, and this is the name the FBI decide to call him. He tells them that he was the passenger of the truck. The truck was driven by another terrorist called Azam, the man who set off the bomb. Alawali's key job was to force the guards to open the gate by threatening them with a pistol. Azam would then drive the truck as close to the embassy as he could before setting off the bomb. And if Azam failed to set off the bomb, Alawali would throw a grenade into the back of the truck to set it off. But Alawali was just a foot soldier. In his confession, he tells them the name of the organization that recruited him. The organization that planned this horrific act. That name is Al-Qaeda. In 1998, Al-Qaeda is a very shady organization. and its leader, Osama bin Laden, has not yet been elevated to the status of public enemy number one.
Osama bin Laden was not well known at that point, and Al-Qaeda was known among people in the intelligence business and in the Department of State as a financer of terrorist operations, not as a perpetrator of terrorist operations.
But U.S. intelligence was wrong. In February 1998, Osama bin Laden issued a fatwa stating that it was the duty of all Muslims to kill Americans in any country they could. Al-Qaeda was going on the offensive. Now the FBI knows they're hunting for an Al-Qaeda cell that is operating in Nairobi. They have the foot soldier who carried out the bombing, but they still need to flash out his masters, the men who planned the atrocity. Even as Alawali is being processed through police custody, another tip-off leads the investigators to a most unlikely location, an exclusive suburban development on the outskirts of Nairobi, known as the Runda Estates. Don's team is sent to the scene. If they can find bomb residue in the house, it may provide the crucial link between Alawali and the bomb site.
Walking into the front door of Rundu Estates, the first thing I notice is the smell. It's the smell of cleaning fluid. Someone has gone through this place and tried to clean it from top to bottom, but they didn't clean everywhere. They certainly didn't clean the tops of the doors. So that's the place we go to for our swabs.
Don's team recovers evidence from a number of imaginative places that the terrorists may not have thought to clean. They seal it all up in airtight bags and ship it out to FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. It'll take the chemists in the FBI labs months to sift through all this data, looking for forensic proof to back up Alawali's confession. Meanwhile, another crucial question remains to be answered. The target of the bomb was the American embassy. In that case, why was the Afundi building brought down with such a devastating loss of life? The Afundi building next door had nothing to do with the embassy. It was a civilian building and not specifically designed to withstand the blast of a massive explosion. When the driver of the truck detonated the bomb, the full force of the blast tore through the building, collapsing its interior walls like dominoes and crumbling the structure in on itself. Unlike the Afundi building, the embassy was able to withstand the blast of the bomb and survived structurally intact. However, the blast wave still blew out its windows and swept through the back of the building, destroying everything in its path. This should never have happened. According to U.S. State Department regulations, all embassy buildings should be built with a standoff zone of 30 meters to safeguard against the blast of any terrorist bomb attack. This is because tests have shown that the force of an explosion gets progressively weaker as its blast wave spreads out from the bomb. The Nairobi embassy was built before these regulations came into force. If it had been the recommended distance away, the blast would not have caused so much internal damage. And if the gate had been set 30 meters away from all other buildings, the blast might not have been strong enough to demolish the Afundi building either. Ambassador Prudence Bushnell had repeatedly voiced her concerns about the vulnerability of the embassy in the months leading up to the attack.
From the first time I went to the embassy, I was aware of how dangerous it was. The Department of State was planning to put money into renovating the building, and I came up with what I thought was a good idea of taking that money, selling the building, and moving to safer grounds.
But the embassy wasn't seen as a high risk to terrorist activity, and her request was turned down. Now the FBI know that an Al-Qaeda cell is operating in East Africa. They caught the man who carried out the bombing, but the men who recruited him are still at large. Can the forensic evidence being analyzed in Washington provide a link to these men before they strike again? The FBI are looking for a forensic link between the bomb maker's den at Runda Estates and the scene of the bombing in Nairobi. At the FBI labs in Washington, the chemists put the material through a spectrometer and conduct a variety of chemical analyses. This allows them to separate the elements and definitively say what chemical traces were in the residue. They find traces of TNT, another commercial explosive called PETN, and aluminium in the residue, the same elements that were found in samples from the site of the bombing.
I've seen that before. There are some recipes out there that call for the addition of aluminum to other explosives as a way to make the charge hotter and more deadly.
This provides the final forensic confirmation of Alawali's testimony. It'll allow the FBI to make an airtight case against the bomber and two of his accomplices in custody. Now, by rewinding the events leading up to that fateful day, and by following the evidence uncovered during the extensive investigation, we can finally reveal how Al-Qaeda carried out its first major international terrorist act, the Nairobi embassy bombing. August 2nd, 1998, 5 days from disaster, Al-Qaeda terrorist Al-Awali arrives in Nairobi. He's met by his minder, who drives him to the bomb maker's den at 43 Runda Estates. Here, the bomb makers are putting the final touches to the bomb. 4 days from disaster, Azam arrives from an Al-Qaeda training camp in Pakistan. He will drive the fatal truck. 3 days from disaster, Al-Awali wrecks the embassy. August 7th, 1998, 54 minutes from disaster. The truck leaves 43 Runda Estates loaded with 3 tons of explosive mixed with aluminium. Al-Awali is carrying a pistol inside his jacket to threaten the guards and has 4 stun grenades on his belt, which he must use to clear the area and blow up the truck if Azam fails. Azam tells him the jacket will get in the way of the grenades, so Al-Awali takes it off. 29 minutes to disaster. The truck reaches the final roundabout and turns onto the street where the embassy sits. It drives down the road and swerves into the embassy compound, where it screeches to a halt in front of the drop barrier. Al-Awali leaps out of the truck to threaten the guards, but in his haste, he's forgotten his jacket and pistol. Without it, all he can do is verbally threaten them. When they refuse to open the gate, he runs back to the truck and tells Azam to use the gun. With the plan spiraling out of his control, Al-Awali is reduced to hurling his stun grenades in all directions. In a cruel irony, the noise from the compound attracts attention from all the buildings around. Local office workers flock to the windows to see what's going on. Al-Awali panics and makes a run for it. The force of the explosion shatters all the windows within a 3-block radius. Thousands of people suffer horrific injuries because the noise of the grenades has attracted them to the windows, which tear them to shreds. The bomb blast rips through the Afundi building next door, demolishing its interior walls and bringing it crashing down. It sweeps through the embassy. As the dust settles, more than 4,000 people are injured and another 213 are dead, 12 of them Americans. In Tanzania, a further 11 people are killed and 85 injured. Al-Awali survives the bombing, but his back is injured. Dazed, he hobbles away from the bomb site to the hospital. There, he disposes of any incriminating evidence on his person. He's arrested 5 days later. Al-Awali and 3 other accomplices are put on trial in America and convicted. George Mimber testifies at their trial. What upsets him most is the lack of remorse shown by the terrorists.
I think there's something wrong. There's something deeper to what we see happening. And I wish somebody could just go down to the root and find out why.
For Prudence Bushnell, one of the tragedies of these bombings is that they fail to act as a warning.
We just didn't learn enough about how Al-Qaeda operates and the intensity of their hatred toward us and the willingness to take extraordinary measures to kill Americans.
3 years later, she'd be proved right to devastating effect. When U.S. intelligence failed to heed the signs that Al-Qaeda would strike right at the heart of America, the result was catastrophic. A memorial now stands in the grounds of the new U.S. Embassy, which has been built on the outskirts of Nairobi. The lessons learned from 1998 mean that all new embassies like it conform rigorously to U.S. State Department safety parameters. The site where the old embassy used to be has also been converted into a memorial park. It reminds us that the unsung heroes of the war against terror are ordinary people like George Mimba, people who harmed nobody, but when terror struck, rose to the occasion and are forever haunted by those seconds from disaster.